All right. Hi everyone, I'm Lizzie. I'm here today to show you how to unwrap and plant your community canopy tree. These trees are being made available by the Cleveland Tree Coalition through the Arbor Day Foundation with financial support from the Northeast Ohio Regional Sewer District as part of our Arbor Day celebrations. And thank you to our sponsors, First Federal of Lakewood and the Davy Tree Expert Company and the Northeast Ohio Regional Sewer District for sponsoring Arbor Week. So the first thing you want to do is pick a good spot for your tree where it can get lots of light, where it looks good with your house, where you want it to look. This tree will be in its spot forever. So pick a place where you're gonna love seeing it every day, and a place that is a safe distance away from things that might compete with the tree. We don't want to get too close to walkways. We don't want to get too close to water lines or gas lines. We want to pick a good spot where your tree is going to coexist peacefully with everything else in your yard. Your trees will be about this big when you get them in a small pot. They'll be delivered to your porch. And let's go ahead, we'll dig our hole, we'll get started. Okay, so we've removed the sod from where we want to plant our tree. Grass will compete with trees for water, so we want to clear the area so that our hole has a good grass-free place for the tree to grow. This tree is in a nursery grow bag. It's been in this bag for a while, so I'm going to use loppers. You can use scissors or whatever you have on hand to safely cut through the fabric. These might not cut through, but we'll see. Or rip if it's rippable. This was a little bit more rippable than it was cuttable. Once you get the tree out, you can dig down. Often trees from the nursery will be buried deeper than where you want to plant them. So we unboxed this before we dug our hole so we could see how deep we needed to dig our hole. You want to look for the root flare and where the roots start coming out of the tree. So right here, it's starting to flare out. We can see the top roots. This is where we want to plant the tree. It was buried in soil from the nursery up to here. We want to plant it to here. We don't want this to be buried. That will cause the trunk to be more susceptible to rot, which is not good for the tree overall. So now that we have cleared this away and figured out about how deep we need to dig our hole, you can use your shovel to measure. We want to dig to just a couple inches below this little foot seat. Now we can dig our hole. So if you're able to amend your soil with a couple months ahead of your tree planting, then I say go for it. If you are not able to do that, it's better just to plant the tree in the soil that it will be growing in, and to let the soil amending come naturally as the tree grows by adding mulch, by letting the leaves stay around the base of the tree. That replicates what happens in the forest when leaves fall. We don't want to add compost to the hole right before we plant the tree, because that's kind of getting the tree set up for circumstances that aren't naturally occurring there. And the roots can burn. It's just better to plant in the native soil if you aren't able to amend ahead of time. All right, so my hole is dug. What I'm gonna do now is take the shovel and I'm going to score the sides of the hole. Just kind of use a little bit of force and get some ridges going around. This will give the roots a place to grow out. They'll be able to get into that side of the hole. We want that. We don't want the roots circling around. If your tree comes in a plastic container, it might have circling roots. This will help it get out of that. We don't want to replicate going from pot to essentially a bigger pot. This is especially important if you have really a high clay content in your yard soil. Just give those roots a little bit of room to breathe. So now we know that our hole is the right depth. You can check by laying your shovel and lifting the tree into it. Actually, this is a little deep. We'll spoon some more soil into here, but that's how you can check the depth of your hole. It's okay for the hole to not be the right depth the first time. We want to take our time, make sure that we are planting the tree to the right depth. And better to plant a little bit too high than to plant too low. Soil will settle and a tree will recover from being planted a little bit too high, but it won't necessarily recover from being planted too low. We'll test it again. We want this root to be about level, and it is. So now that we know it's the right level, we'll go around, we'll just massage the root ball, loosen up those circling roots. This tree wasn't that bad. Some of the trees that you get in plastic containers will have roots kind of going around. You can take the scissors or whatever you used to get into the pot, and you can just gently score the sides to loosen up those roots. Make sure the tree is oriented the way you want it to be oriented. So we're getting our branches going out this way. It's up to you how you orient your tree. And then we will just gently tuck it in. We want to use the soil that doesn't have the sod on it. I've kept them separate so that we can minimize that competition from the grass for water and for other nutrients. You can break up the soil, you don't have to. You can use the soil that the tree came from the nursery in, as well as the soil that is native to your yard. All right, so spring is a great time to plant trees. They're just coming out of their dormancy, the weather is right, the soil is easy to work with, and especially right now, a lot of us are at home, we're inside because of the ongoing pandemic. This is a great way to get outside, spend some time in your yard, while also maintaining proper social distancing and following public health guidelines. So I planted by myself today, but this is a great activity for families. So there's a job for everybody. And our last thing that we're gonna do is tuck our tree in with some mulch. So add nutrients to the soil, keep the moisture in, regulate the soil temperature during the summer. If you don't have mulch with you right now, there's plenty of places around town to pick it up for free once things open up again. So you don't need to do it immediately. You can hang on until the world picks back up at our regular speed. But thank you for tuning in. If you are a Cleveland resident, you can get a tree for free through the Arbor Day Foundation. We'll have the link posted. And thanks for celebrating trees with us.